passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so Mileham in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
coming down. Does he have it?
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's touched on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your Sunday evening of racing once again with the Tanso Racing Group in the GR86s. We are at round 4 now in the season. The season's absolutely flying along here tonight. So, hope you're all having a fantastic Sunday, and what a way to round off by choosing to spend your time here on the JPB YouTube channel, watching these fantastic cars go around what can be quite a challenging circuit here in the southeast of the mighty country of Norway. This is a favourite for a few friends of mine. I do quite enjoy this circuit indeed, and I have to admit I've had a couple of good runs around here myself as well, so I can't put it down. It is a very lovely track, to be honest. Definitely a good track to get you into racing and introduce you to it. So some of these guys should be thriving around here tonight. But 14 turns in total on tonight's circuit. So there's going to be a lot of challenges and a lot of chances for some overtakes. And obviously, given that there will be chances of overtakes, there will also be a lot of chances for some slip-ups as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is where we are tonight then for your round 4 of the season. We are getting on quite a bit now into the season. Let's have a little look here. So we only have 2 more rounds after this. The next round, round 5, on the 13th of August is at Virginia International Raceway. And then 20th of August is your final round, round 6 at Alton Park. So there's not much to go in this season now at all. But we have started the broadcast a little bit earlier than normal. Not by a lot, but just a few minutes extra early, just to bring you some of the standings then. So let's have a little look at what we have here. So your Team Pro points, as it stands, you can see the drivers listed underneath their teams there as well. So if you want to know who's driving for each team, you can see that just there. But racing for SOB Racing at the top are the Sylvesters, John Sylvester and Alex Sylvester. They are on 389 points, leading the pro standings for the team event. And then P2 is Simtech with Ryan Dudley and Daniel Wareham, both having some good races recently, in the last round especially. Fantastic job from those two guys there. But they are currently P2 in the standings. They're not far apart at all. 1 point splits the two, so it's really going to be a battle between SOB Racing and Simtech. So battle of Sylvesters versus Ryan Dudley and Wareham. Whiskins Racing, we see them pop up a lot through many streams, but they are in P3. They're the bottom of the podium, but they are on the podium nonetheless. Platinum Racing Team just below that, both the Hobsons. Fairly newcomers in terms of the season. I don't think they've done the full season, but they're sitting there in P4. They still have the chance to catch up, obviously, but they need to put in some good performances now towards the end of the season. Legend 43 Racing and Mark Brown, I believe he is racing Simtech livery anyway, so I think he's like a part of their team, but because he's the third man, he's still under Legend 43 Racing. If I've got that right, if I haven't, I'm sure I'll be quoted and brought up on that. But SRL, the team SRL, is run by David Smith, and David Smith only, who's sitting there on 53 points, just behind Legend 43. And Whiskins Racing 2. At the bottom of the table there, unfortunately, but Shane Cotton's the only one with points out of those two. I don't think we've seen much from Marcus Law this season, unfortunately. Now, that's your pro standings. Let's have a look at your AM team standings then. So for the AMs, obviously the table is a little smaller. That's both for the teams and for the drivers. So let's have a little look at what we have here. The Next Generation Racing, P1 at the minute, with both the Hadfields dominating really the team event, because they've almost got 100-point clearance on BP Racing, which is Stuart Brierley. It looks like they're just single-man teams after the top team. So your leading team is the only team with 2 drivers in it, so that could be why they have their advantage. But nevertheless, we're not going to take away the fact that both Hadfields have had fantastic performances this season. So those two are top of the tables there, top of the pops in P1. BP Racing, though, Stuart Briley, P2 on 93 points. Slow Guys Racing, Dave Clark, 90 points. That's bottom of the podium. So battle between BP and Slow Guys. Tanso team is run by Jono Johnson, and he is the only one in there himself, so he is 65 points, P4 at the minute. DMK Racing team, Kevin Randall and Kevin Randall only with 60 points there, and I was actually having some good racing with Kevin Randall the other day, so good to see his name around here. Have a look at your driver pro standings then. So with your driver pro standings, there is obviously a lot of names on the board. So there's going to be a lot to go through. So let's get through that thick and fast so we can watch these guys do their qualifying then. So Harry Fox leads the way in P1 at the minute. John Sylvester, P2. Daniel Wareham, P3. They're your podium sitters, and you can see it's still very close between those three. Ryan Dudley's just a little bit off, but not by much. He could still possibly get a podium here if you can try and get a few up on Daniel Wareham. Not an easy job to do, but nevertheless, I know Ryan Dudley does have some supporters out there, some probably guessing they're going to have their fingers crossed for Mr. Dudley to make his way onto the podium for the end of the season. But moving down, you've got Alex Sylvester and Aaron Hobson, both close together as well. They're in P5 and 6. Neil Rocks, P7. Darren Morrison, P8. Mark Brown, P9. Eric Ronenberg, P10. Lee Rylands, P11. Martin Hobson, Tom Wilson, Scott Kostrick, Mark Proctor, David Smith, Shane Cotton, Richard Fluherty, and Gary Linton there for those standings. And let's just quickly go through your AMs as the drivers are getting out now onto track, getting ready for qualifying, so this will give them time to do their warm-up lap before we tune on board with them. And well, as you can see here then, your leader in the AMs at the moment is Mr. Stuart Briley. Stuart Briley leading with 93 points. Ayrton Hadfield 92. He did have a little slip up last week in one of the races, but managed to bring it back and have a good performance in the other. So not a bad result overall. Only 1 point split in the top two. Dave Clark there, just 2 points behind Ayrton Hadfield and 3 points behind your leader. So it's very close between those guys as well. Adrian Hadfield just outside the podium. JT Johnson P5. Kevin Randall P6. Not much points between those two either. Then a little step down to Martin Lee. Then Stephen Parker Hamilton very close behind that. Another little step to Pete McKendrick. And then another little step to Rick Wishen, Jamie McFadden, Michael Elms, and Connor McKendrick. So that is how close it is with your battles in the season, in the standings at the moment. So let's get your race information up here. So we are obviously a minute 57 into qualifying. Now let's have a little look then. Ryan Dudley, take it away, sir. Give us a display of what we want to see and what to expect in tonight's racing. Obviously, like I did say earlier in the broadcast, there are 14 turns on this circuit tonight, and Dudley's now coming around the 14th turn to go onto the home straight. So Dudley will actually be going down onto his first lap. And what I might do is do two birds with one stone. We'll jump into the cockpit of Ryan Dudley's car here, and as he goes into turn one, sharp left-hander, can get on the gas very early though to get followed, like get a good line around the right-hander and maintain that momentum to carry it out down the straight as he's done so just there. Now this is a fairly long straight, slightly uphill at the start as you can see, heading towards the back end of it now. It goes downhill into a braking zone, so you've got to brake on the hill and you really got to try and keep a hold of that car. And Ryan Dudley's done a good job. There's a lot of shaking of the wheel. It's not easy to keep it around there, but this is turn 3 and 4 that he's just gone around there. Now we come up into the S's. Now this could be interesting because some people could get cut warnings there and possibly a slowdown or two, so that's something to watch out for. Then there's a long left hand. There's a lot of long sweeping turns on Rudskogen, which is one of the reasons why I do really like this track. But that was turn 8 and 9. Now down to turn 10, which is the hairpin of the circuit. You get down nice into a second gear here, sometimes first gear depending on how you're battling. Depends on what you need, and you bring it up, hold onto the rumble strips on the right hand as you pull in on turn 12 to the left. You get a beautiful exit line out there for Ryan Dudley. Round turn 13, slight let off, bit of brake, and then that'll get your nose tucked in just enough to go around turn 14. Little slip up there from Ryan, but a fantastic lap nonetheless. And here we go back round to the home straight. So you can see the laps aren't massively long, but they are still going to be a little bit challenging for some of these drivers. So it's going to be interesting to see what can happen. You can see that lap there from Ryan Dudley puts him P6 overall, so not a bad result at all for Ryan Dudley there. As you can see, he's going around the first couple of turns. The man that is in the lead though at the minute is Harry Fox, with his time of 1:32.5. Fantastic time really from him. Dan Wareham just behind that. And remember, Dudley is fighting Wareham in terms of standing, so he needs to try and get in front of Wareham as quick as he can, whether that's in qualifying or on race 1. He needs to get that job done tonight. We're nearly already halfway through the qualifying session. Only 10 minutes of this session, but these drivers do have 3 laps to put in their quickest time. So they've either got to do it within 10 minutes or they've got to do it in 3 laps, whichever of the one comes first. Eric Ronenberg, have a little look at what he's doing then. He's now coming across the line. He's just gone purple in the 3rd sector there. 4 sectors on this track, or they're split up into 4 sectors for us here. And, well, you can see that time puts him into P3. Not much split in the top cars whatsoever from Harry Fox all the way down to... Ryan Dudley, P1 to P1 to Matt Proctor, P10. The top 10 cars are within a couple of tenths of each other, and it's just getting even tighter. So this is going to be some fantastic racing, I expect, here tonight. And well, Eric Ronenberg's had a good season overall as well so far. It's been fantastic to see that bright pink car of Mr. Ronenberg going around the track in the last few rounds. It's been great racing from a lot of the drivers here at Tanso, and it's, well, a sterling job that all of those have done. We've had some slip-ups, don't get me wrong, there's been some collisions, but there's been so many good highlights throughout the season. It's been incredible work from these guys, and I'm sure they'll be looking forward to getting the last couple of rounds out of the way, get the pressure off their shoulders, and have their week or two break. I think it's normally a week or two. I think it's a couple of weeks break that they normally get between the seasons, but yeah, they're all going to be looking forward to getting their prizes if they're fighting for any at all. And we've had some other drivers join in as well. I can see that there's 1 or 2 names that are new by the looks of it. Tom Wilson, I did try and add Mr. Wilson in so he would show up with his colours, which will be a blue colour, because apart from Mr. Alex Sylvester, who's decided to not go for a triple-digit number, all the pros have triple-digit numbers, so all the AMs all have double digits. Let's see if we can find anyone that's still out on track at the moment. I think most people have done their laps now, to be honest. They're pretty quick laps, so it's kind of expected. Here we go, Ryan Dudley's still out at the moment, though. DMK Racing Team. And, well, like I was just saying, you know, Tom Wilson is in the pro category. I think we do have another person that doesn't have a colour, but his name is Mikkel Lees. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly and haven't butchered that name like I do with most others. But Mikkel is number 155, not set a lap time yet or been out on track, so yeah, hopefully we'll see him in this session. But for Mikkel, he is in the pros because he does have the triple-digit number. So that should have been sorted out, I believe, when they join. They get these numbers which separate their classes, and that's what we go off, because it's a nice little system. It's helpful for not only us in the booth, but it's also helpful for those that run the league as well. So good stuff all around, really. And well, Tom Wilson's just sitting there on the track at the moment. Mark Brown is still going around, though. I'd say a bit slower than normal, so I imagine that most people have done their laps. You can see JT Johnson is P23 at the minute. He rounds off your entire pack. You've got Gary Linton, Daryl Morrison, and Mikkel Lees that haven't actually set times yet, but they kind of want to get out there and get a move on if they want to get a time on the board. Here's Mikkel Lees then for your NXT Gen Racing. I'm guessing it's next gen is what it is, obviously, but I have to admit, I think NXT sounds better because it reminds me of my wrestling. Evening, Callum. How's it going? Phil across the pond. Welcome in. Welcome everyone to your Tanso session tonight. Make sure you are sharing the love here on your Sunday evening to wish everyone at the JPB YouTube channel and all yourselves a wonderful week by dropping a like on this stream for us. Hit that subscribe button as well and turn the bell notifications on to be notified on all the racing that is on this channel. There is lots of different series that are broadcast on this channel across all time zones, so it doesn't matter where you live in the wonderful green world, there will always be something there for you. There will always be something on your time, so make sure you do drop a like on the stream and give us some feedback in the chat as well. Get involved, because I do have the chat up on the side and it doesn't go unnoticed when I get a spare moment away from the carnage, which is at the minute Mikel Lees spinning out on turn 1 there, unfortunately, but Mikel has put a time in there, which is P17 is where it's landed, Mikel, so not bad at all. But yeah, do get involved in the YouTube chat, because I will see that. And aside from broadcasting, I do stream a lot, so I'm quite used to having my OCD self look over to the chat a lot, so I will always try and keep up with it. So don't worry, your comments don't go missing. I will read them out when we get a moment, and that rounds off your qualifying then. There we go. Let's have a look at your grid then for this first race. So for race 1, we have Harry Fox P1, Daniel Warren P2, Eric Ronenberg P3, Mark Proctor P4, Alex Sylvester P5, followed by John Sylvester P6, Aaron Hobson P7, Mark Brown P8, Martin Hobson P9, Neil Rocks P10, and Ryan Dudley and Richard Fluherty P11 and 12. Then after that, you got Marcus Orr P13, Tom Wilson P14, Scott Kostrick P15, Ayrton Hadfield P16, Mikel Lees P17, Tony Lamb P18, David Smith P19, Adrian Hadfield P20, Darren Morrison P21, Stuart Briley P22, Dave Clark and Michael Elms P23 and 24, and then P25, JT Johnson and Gary Linton P26 there. So that is your grid lineup for this first race. You can see all these guys out on track at the moment as we look at your leader here then, which is Mr. Harry Fox, as we wait for the numbers to get on. Hi all, wishing everyone a great race. Thank you very much. Helen Morrison, welcome into this what should be a fantastic race here tonight, as all these cars are on the grid. There is the wonderful Harry Fox P1 at the minute. Fantastic pace throughout the season for Mr. Fox. Wonderful stuff from him, but you can see all the cars line up all on the grid, and they go quite a far way back, and I think we're just waiting on 1 or 2 cars. I think, yeah, we're just waiting on Tony Lamb. There he is now on the grid, so we'll sit here, we'll wait for the lights to get up. There they go, just like as if I turned them on. Here we go, 1 2 3 4 and 5. And it's green, green, green. We are underway. Barney's waving his flag. The cars are getting away here nice and smoothly. There's a lot of smoke at the back. Cars going 3-4 wide instantly. And Gary Linton taking it a bit easy. Probably waiting to see if there's going to be any incidents on track, as your leader is coming around already onto the straight on the hill. There he goes. And you can see how much of a hill it is once you go over that crest. There isn't anything much more that you will see. Let's see if we can get a bit of a... There we go. So you can see all these cars coming down side by side at the minute. Daniel Wareham is down into P3 at the moment. Alex Sylvester, what start he's had, up into P2 as it stands right now. And these cars are still all so close. Look at them all coming around then as we look back through the orders. They still keep coming and coming and coming all the way down here to Mr. Gary Linton. Unfortunately, Michael Lees looks like he may have had a little bit of an issue. Was having a couple of slip-ups in the qualifying just before the race went live with that turn 1. Did have a couple of spin-outs there, unfortunately, so hopefully all is well there. Come on, Dudley and Wareham, says Toxic Munchkin. Yes, come on to those two as well. They are actually battling each other for the standings as well, so that's going to be interesting. And it looks like we do have a car around already. Richard Fluherty, I could recognise that green anywhere. Unfortunately, the Fox green livery car there of Mr. Fluherty has spun around on the turn 10 hairpin, sadly, as these guys are coming around to round off their first lap then. Here is Alex Sylvester, P2, trying to chase down your leader, 1.8 seconds up the road from him. Not going to be easy, but remember, there is just over 18 minutes to do so we can't run them off just yet. But what about we have here in this pack? Look at all these cars, single file, and not much given between these guys at all. Aaron Hobson, P7, is the car that we're kind of stuck onto really at the moment in this pack. Mark Brown is just ahead of him, but not by much at all. You can see his bright green rims there as he goes through, with John Sylvester just ahead of him. Looking a little bit further down the pack, we'll go to the other Hobson, which is Martin Hobson. And well, you can see he's going down the inside line now of this sort of very sharp braking section of the track, and the Whisk livery car has to go very wide there. Didn't really want to go side by side into that corner, I can imagine. And now the Whisk team livery boys are side by side going through the S's. So number one rule of racing is you never want to put your team out or your teammate out of the race. So those guys are going to continue in a single file fashion as well. And well, look at that, Mr. Morrison, that I was actually really looking forward to seeing the race this season. And well, Darrell hasn't really let me down, showing some great pace all throughout the season. He's at the minute defending against Scott Kostrick, and they're going to be bumper to bumper, and there's a car off just ahead, and unfortunately it's Martin Hobson who's facing the wrong direction. Martin's going to get back underway though, so you can spin that car just around into the right direction so he can carry on going again. But just as I was saying that, yeah, unfortunately Martin does go around, but Darrell Morrison, like I was just saying a minute ago, has had some fantastic pace all throughout the season. There he is, his dark green car, very noticeable, very simple but very noticeable. I do like the look of it. Harry Fox goes quickest, 132.5, but then Eric Ronenberg snatches that away, 132.2, so he's very close at the minute as well. As we will let Morrison get on with his race now. We don't want to put him under pressure too much here. Hope you're good, Callum. King of the lower arms. I am certainly the king of the lower arms, absolutely dominating that in the GT4, and I cannot wait to claim my trophy this week in the GT4s in the final round. So make sure you are there for that Wednesday. It's going to be a laugh, and if I can find a shoe that I don't mind sacrificing, there'll be a little surprise in my interview as well after the race. But that's to look forward to on another day. But at the minute, Alex Sylvester's having to do an absolute brilliant job at defending to Eric Ronenberg, because it's not going to be easy to defend against that car. As Eric Ronenberg goes to make the move up the inside, and he's done it. He's made it stick. Can he hold it though? Coming around towards the turn 10 hairpin, and here they go down the right hander now, downhill very slightly towards the hairpin. Eric Ronenberg has a position, and the gap has opened up by 0.5 of a second. So he managed to get the move done absolutely beautifully there. The gap has come down very slow. I think they're pretty equidistant in terms of pace and space in between the cars. In terms of just switching out, because a lap ago Eric Ronenberg was 5 to 6 tenths behind Alex Sylvester, and now they're exactly the same distance, just flipped on the following lap. Now let's have a little look back here at Aaron Hobson, who's having to do a bit of a defensive job on Mark Proctor, which isn't easy to do. We know that Mark Proctor does have some good pace, and in fact I think I may have got that completely wrong. That's not Aaron Hobson doing, no, sorry, Ryan Dudley is having to do a sterling job at defending from Mr. Hobson, and it was Mark Proctor defending John Sylvester. He's really defending this whole pack at the minute, so I got that completely wrong, so my apologies there. What happened to Wareham, we'll have a look at that. MSR up 10 places, nice indeed. Wareham left the pits, so did Wareham just go into the pit? Yeah, Daniel Wareham just went into the pits, and I don't have anything here that says that he crashed, unfortunately, so not too sure what happened there for Dan Wareham, but he entered the pits according to my reports. And well, this is something interesting. We've had an Ayrton Hadfield crash apparently. Now, did he crash, or is it just a bit of an off track? Because the start of that clip there, start of this replay, you do see him go a little bit off track. Or does he go into the rear of the SRL team car there? I believe that's David Smith just ahead. Yeah, he does. Just into the back of David Smith, unfortunately. Bit too much momentum, and he's kind of spun himself around with that on the S's there, sadly, for Mr. Hadfield, who is trying to battle up there in your standings for the AM. So he's want to have a great race, and unfortunately it's not gone his way so far. John Sylvester isn't too far behind Proctor at the minute, but let's have a little look down the list then. Got Darren Morrison up 6 positions overall at the moment. Unfortunately, Daniel Wareham has fallen down the grid after entering the pit lane. Unsure exactly why. Maybe got involved in the tangle. Yes, Helen, possibly. Damage is turned off though, so I'm a bit unsure why he went into the pits. Maybe if he decides to have an interview after the race, we'll hear from him. And well, it was getting a bit squirrely just then. And I know exactly who that was, because I recognise the livery, because it's one of the newer ones on the grid. That is Mikkel Lees, who is part of the pros, judging from the number. He has that triple-digit number. He's on the inside because he's going a little bit slower than the rest of the cars. He understands that and is letting them all by. So a good solid decision from Mikel there. Dave Clark at the minute going around quite nicely indeed in the lime green Tanso Racing Group livery there. Gary Linton's having to do a bit of defensive work here against Mr. Hobson, who's not going to be settling too well with where he's sitting at the minute in the standings. He's going to want to try and get up the field a little bit more to where he is right now. Let's have a little look at your race, your season owner. Your league owner, should I say. Season owner. Who says that? Coming down to turn 10 hairpin then is JT Johnston. And he's not having his best race, shall we say. We saw him having some good results recently. A bit down the grid at the minute, but remember there is a reverse grid that comes into play, so maybe you can gain a couple positions and benefit from that, but we'll see what happens as the race goes on. Looking up towards Neil Rocks at the minute then. Trying to get towards Mr. Morrison, but unfortunately not able to do that just yet. And unfortunately, I think we've just had a Stuart Brierley crash. Let's have a little look at what's happened here then. We're on our chopper cam. We've got reports of 2 crashes apparently. I don't see... Oh, I'm starting to see one. Yep. Unfortunately, got the front wheel on that inside. Oh, and he's had a lovely kiss there at the start of the straight. So he's got a lovely peck on the lips. Sadly facing the wrong direction, but fingers crossed he'll be able to carry on and not lose too much time. I imagine he'll lose a little bit, but hopefully he'll still be within some battles on the field. And there is a man that crashed with him. Mr. Dave Clark. He is the man that gave Mr. Brierley a good old kiss on the home straight there as they came sort of bumper to bumper. Stop penalty, if that's the case, then yeah, that is very true. Possibly a jump start, possibly a stop penalty. Drive through maybe, who knows, but like I say, we might find out after the races if he jumps into the booth with us. We'll find out soon. And just as I steer away from that, I think Martin Hobson just had a spin. He did. And he's having a lovely time just drifting it around there on the hairpin. And whoa, Ayrton Hadfield only just got through the inside of Martin Hobson there. So Martin Hobson not having the most ideal start to race 1. We're nearly halfway through though at the minute. Eric Ronenberg running P2. Just up the road is Harry Fox. And then just behind those two is Alex Sylvester. Mark Brown coming over the hill, followed by Ryan Dudley. Aaron Hobson leading this massive pack of cars that are still so tight together. Darren Morrison and Marcus Law are sort of just off the back of this pack of 3. Aaron Hobson has to do a very good job at trying to keep Mark Proctor in the M&M's livery car there behind him. Not going to be an easy job to do, but at the same time, Proctor's got to be looking in his mirrors because he's got Sylvester sniffing all over the rear end of his car, trying to look for the move that will gain him that position that he needs. So it's going to be tight between those two as they come down towards the turn 10 hairpin once again. And well, we're certainly going to get a good amount of laps out of these races, that's for sure. And well, time seems to be flying by at the moment. We have just gone past the halfway mark. It feels like we've only done a couple of laps, but I can assure you it's more than a couple because these guys have been whizzing around like there's no tomorrow. They're currently coming up to their 7th lap in this race, and well, I'm seeing a lot of green times all over the board at the minute, so these cars are starting to pick up in terms of pace, which is good to see as well. So as they come round for their 7th lap in total, unfortunately I've just had a report that Richard Fluity has gone round. Richard Fluity there, you can see on the timing tower, has dropped down to P23 unfortunately. Eric Ronenberg though has made some great gains on our race leader Harry Fox, and well, he's surely going to look to make the move for the race win. I don't think we've seen an Eric Ronenberg P1 result yet in any of these races this season. We've definitely seen him on the podium a couple of times, but I don't think we've seen a race win for Mr. Ronenberg, so this could be huge for Ronenberg's trophy cabinet in terms of getting that P1 result in race 1 here at round 4 at Rudskogen in the southeast of Norway. Fantastic track, by the way, and I'm told the locals in Norway are very lovely people and very welcoming, so I highly recommend, if you like racing get yourself down to Rudskogen. Go have a little gander at what they got going on down there, because I have to admit, I will certainly be doing that at some point in my life. Lovely little track to go and watch this racing on, and whether it's the GR86s or it's just, well, any other vehicle really around this track, it's surely going to be some fun, close stuff, especially if you get a good angle. See down the S's on this track. Turns 5 to 8 in total. That is a good little section of the track, and it can be very nice to watch cars that come across in a chain through there. But Eric Ronenberg still on the back of Harry Fox, not really gaining anything since we jumped on board with him, but could it be this exit that gains him that time? It is going down a little bit. Looks like Eric Ronenberg is stronger coming out of turn 1s and 2. So as they come down into the quick sort of sharp braking zone, into the long right-hander, I was about to say shallow right-hander, it's not that shallow, but they've really got hold of these cars steady as they get around there, and Eric Ronenberg is slightly catching. But this is where Harry Fox seems to be the quicker out of the two, because he's managing to pull that time back up, and I think this is where Eric Ronenberg needs to try and find something. He needs to find that extra little something that Harry Fox isn't doing. Maybe hold one of them lines a little tighter to try and get that advantage on your race leader at the moment. Toxic Munchkin, I do like this track, good fun in the F4s. I've raced this track with Mazdas, Ray 1600s, Formula V, Formula 3, what else have we done in the GRs as well, and a GT4. So I've raced it in a few different cars, a couple open wheels, couple of tin tops, and it is a really nice track to drive on. No matter what car you're in, it's always fantastic to race around here, and I feel it's a good challenging track, especially if you're new to racing, to sort of enhance your racing ability, because there's a lot of twisting and turning, and there's a lot of lines you actually have to get correct to have a good time around this track. So it's a good challenging track, and good no matter what your ability is and what kind of experience you have within the racing world, as we see Eric Ronenberg using his experience to get side by side. Looks like Harry Fox may have had a bit of a slowdown there, unfortunately. Harry Fox has slowed down on the inside line. Can Alex Sylvester capitalise on this? He's now within 1 second of the car ahead, which is Harry Fox. The leader has changed. Eric Ronenberg is now in the lead of this race, so we could be in for a treat here of an Eric Ronenberg P1 finish. I am holding wood when I say that, because, well, everyone watching this, if you've watched these races in this season before, you know full well that I'm very good for putting a little spin on races by giving them a commentator's curse. But, well, let's have a look down this part of the table then. Yeah, okay, it's not fighting for your race lead. Nevertheless, it's fighting, because what a pack we have here of cars. You can see at the back of this pack at the minute, Richard Fluherty. Well, it will be JT Johnson in a second as he lets all the cars by. Possibly a lapped car there. JT Johnson, or he just doesn't feel like he has the pace, doesn't want to hold them up. As Martin Hobson goes very wide, Richard Fluherty goes up on the inside. Can he get that position? Not quite, unfortunately. So Richard Fluherty's going to have to settle in behind for another couple of corners at least till he can make them move again. Ayrton Hadfield at the minute going up the inside. Oh, nearly loses the car there. Almost looks like he was trying to T-bone Mikel. Obviously he wasn't, and he's had some good clean races so far, so I highly doubt that that was the case. But he's having a fantastic little session so far. You can see he is in P20, so he's not in the position he destines to be in. But he's P4 in the AMs, which doesn't actually sound that bad when you think about it. A little bit of nudge in there, though. Stuart Briley and Ayrton Hadfield. And Ayrton's going to have the momentum. Look at that for a speed boost out of that turn. What a line that was. That really prevented Stuart Briley from making that overtake that he so desperately needed or wanted. You can see there he is in his light blue suit, Ayrton Hadfield. This is what he sees out the front though. Mikel is just up the road. Mikel Lease, that is not too far ahead. But I think Ayrton's mainly going to be focusing on what's behind him as we have a look here. And this is what's behind him. There you go. You have these cars coming around now through turn 1 and 2. There's JT Johnson. So behind Ayrton, you have Martin Hobson there, Stuart Briley, followed by Richard Fluherty, then JT Johnson. All coming around as they go down the straight, over the hill, down into the right-hand braking zone. Let's have a little look at what Marcus Law's getting up to, though, because he looks like he's getting into a bit of a battle here as we go to a bit more of a zoomed-out cam. I do quite like this cam. here, and well, he's trying to get involved. Unfortunately, he can't. But quickly, let's have a little look at what's going on up here, because this is even closer. When you find one battle that's close, you find one that's even closer. So Darren Morrison, Tom Wilson, and Neil Rocks all involved in this battle then at the moment. And well, seeing as he's at the back of these three, let's have a little look at what Darren Morrison can see. He's at the back end of these two cars in this pack, and as they come under the Worth sponsored banners here on the start finish line, there they go to end off what has been a fantastic lap. And this is their 11th lap now in total. Obviously the cars that haven't been lapped, they're on their 11th lap now, and I think all cars apart from Daniel Wareham are on the lead lap. So it's only Daniel Wareham. Unfortunately, he did go into the pits earlier in the race, not too sure as to why, but he was in the pits. Seems safe today from the curse, lol. Yeah, well, it does at the minute, Helen, I have to say, it does at the minute. I am holding my wooden desk every time I talk, though, just in case, because, well, I think I'm putting Darren Morrison under a bit too much pressure. He must know that he's on camera, because he almost lost the car a bit there as he goes into the long left-hander, which will then sweep round to the right eventually. Here it comes now as it opens up. Can he get a better line? He does slightly get a better exit than Neil Rocks. He's going to get right up onto the back of him, leaning into turn 10 hairpin. He's going to look up the inside, not going to be anywhere near close enough for that move though, and luckily he doesn't go for the dangerous dive. So thank you very much, Mr. Morrison, for not going towards the well, what I would call instant death routine. Managed to all come through there nice and safely. Neil Rocks is getting quite close-ish to the back of Tom Wilson there. Tom Wilson is one of the newcomers into the league, I believe, as well. John Sylvester at the minute is right up on the back of Ryan Dudley. Ryan Dudley's going to want to try and defend as best as he can as they come through turn 1 and 2. Long right-hander onto the back straight then. Well, I like to call this the back straight. It's not really at the back of the track, but you know what I mean. You understand where I'm coming from as they come over the hill, downhill now towards the quick braking zone. And this is what makes things tense for these drivers. It's that braking zone right there that gets very tricky for a lot of these guys. Let's get your track map up then so you can see exactly where everyone is. And you can see the lead of the race in a minute. Eric Ronneberg, he hasn't got long to go. Not long whatsoever. Harry Fox, sorry, I seem to have a common case of either yawning or gas, and it's not nice because I'm trying to talk. But Harry Fox is at the minute trying to take the outside line to Eric Ronneberg. Eric Ronneberg is going to defend up the inside, manages to hold off the position, doesn't let Harry Fox make that move. There's no cutback on offer there for Mr. Fox either. As they come around the last corner, you can see out the mirror is Alex Sylvester, just if you get it at the right angle. Eric Ronneberg though, this is the black and white checkered flag out with Barney, and you can see Harry Fox wiggling his car around as these guys come across the line. Eric Ronneberg is your race winner for race 1. Harry Fox is P2, Alex Sylvester P3, and well, it's a stellar job from Mr. Ronneberg. He's managed to pull off a race win. I think that's the first one we've seen from Ronneberg of this season. Darren Morrison rounds off your top 10 overall there, so fantastic work from him as well. We'll wait for most of these drivers to come across the track then. Unfortunately, Martin Hobson is out and in the pits. I do know that he had a little slip up towards the end of the race there, because we did have a report that he crashed, but there was so much action going on the track we did not cover it. But I'm sure that Mr. Hobson will be grateful that I didn't cover it, to be honest, because it's not always nice when you see your spins or incidents on the broadcast. We try not to show all of them, but we do show some of them, because we like to show you what all the good things about racing and some of the bad things that can happen as well. So Adrian Hudfield there, the last car to come across the line and complete your grid for race 1. Now let's have a look at your results then, as we just go to grab those now. There we go. Eric Ronneberg is P1. Your race winner for race 1 is Eric Ronneberg. Harry, Fox P2. Not too much to split the two drivers there. 4 attempts, nearly 5 attempts. Bit of a wide exit for Harry Fox on the final turn, but they were very close on that final lap. Alex Sylvester P3 rounds off the podium sitters. Mark Brown P4, Aaron Hobson P5, Ryan Dudley P6, John Sylvester P7, Tom Wilson P8, Neil Rocks P9, Darryl Morrison P10, Marcus Law P11, Tony Lamb P12, David Smith P13, Scott Kostrick P14, Mark Proctor P15, Michael Elms P16, David Clark P17, Mikkel Lees P18, and then towards the back we have Ayrton Hadfield P19, Stuart Briley P20, JT Johnson P21, Adrian Hadfield P22, Gary Linton, Richard Fluherty, Daniel Wareham and Martin Hobson round off the entire grid there tonight then. So a fantastic little race session we just had there at the minute, and we do have a little 5-minute warm-up now. I don't think anyone else was on track. Well, there's Mikkel Lees. So Mikkel is one of the newcomers to the league. He does have the triple number on there, which leads me to believe that he is in the pro class of this racing season. Obviously not going to be fighting for podiums, or highly unlikely. It's probably mathematically not possible at this point, because there is only 2 more rounds after this, so we are just gone past the halfway point in the season. 6 rounds altogether, and your halfway point was last round, which I believe we were at Brands Hatch last round. So yeah, there's not much to go now in terms of points. So these guys do need to try and get a little bit of a shift on if they want to climb up the standings, if you like, and get as many points as they possibly can. Not going to be easy, but that's something that they do need to try and get a hold of. But I am right, Brands Hatch was last round, so we started off at Summit Point for your promo. We had Hockenheim for round 1, Nürburgring for round 2, Brands Hatch last round out for round 3. We're here at Rudskogen today. We're at Virginia International Race Circuit round 5, and then we have Alton Park on round 6, which is your final round of the season. And a wonderful drift there from Mikkel Lees. Well held, sir. Thank you very much for that. Great display. So your final race of the season is on the 20th of August on Alton Park. So we've got 2 interesting rounds coming up. I have to admit, as a broadcaster and commentator, I think VIR is a lovely track. Virginia is a wonderful track. As a racer, I absolutely hate it. I absolutely hate it. It's not a fan favourite of mine at all. But when it comes to broadcasting, it always brings some great action. So hopefully the drivers don't think like I do and don't hate the track. Because if not, next week could be some good, interesting racing. But fingers crossed everyone does enjoy it, and it should be a nice little day out to Virginia's little circuit. There'll be some good points on the board for some of the people out there as well. But fantastic results overall for a lot of these drivers out here tonight. Great race 1. Remember, we do have 5 minutes extra for race 2. It's a 25-minute race. It's a little bit longer. So these guys do have a little bit more time as Mikkel Lees, sorry, comes across. Putting in a 1:36. I was just trying to work out who that was in the pits. There's someone in the pit practicing their practice starts, but it doesn't actually tell me who that person is. But if you guys are enjoying the racing sessions that we do have here live on the GPB YouTube channel, please do drop a like, share the video, show your loved ones, your friends, or even the people that are racing, make them sit down and watch it back. Whoever you are or whoever you're showing, it's much appreciated. But drop a like on the stream as well for us to show your support, as it really does mean a lot. And well, it means the world to not only the people that help JP with the broadcast, but also him himself that puts in a lot of work into these broadcasts and bringing them to you all live with all the fancy graphics, and well, keeping us all in a line as well with our calendar. So he does a stellar job, as he would say. So make sure you do drop a like on this stream for us here tonight. Warm-up is now lapsing, and we'll bring you your grid results for race 2. Let's have a little look here then. So Mark Proctor is P1. Scott Kostrick P2, David Smith P3, Tony Lamb P4, Marcus Law P5, Darren Morrison P6, Neil Rocks P7, Tom Wilson P8, John Sylvester P9, Ryan Dudley P10, Aaron Hobson P12, Mark Brown rounding off your top 12. Sorry, Aaron Hobson P11, Mark Brown P12. So that is your top 12 there. And then following on from that, Alex Sylvester, Harry Fox, Eric Ronenberg, Michael Elms, Dave Clark, Mikkel Lees, Ayrton Hadfield, Stuart Briley, JT Johnson, Adrian Hadfield, Gary Linton, Richard Fluity, Daniel Wareham, and Martin Hobson. So that is your grid for race 2. I am, well, apologies that I did rush through that. I had to make sure I was through it before these guys get started. But here is your pole man. Getting ready as the lights go up, flashing his lights away. Let's sit on the grid and see how good of a start these guys get. Scott Kostrick blinking just at the start there, but all of them get quite a nice start by the looks of it. And unfortunately, no, there is one car that isn't moving. There's carnage at the back already. 2 cars have collided together, sadly, and it looks like Daniel Wareham and Martin Hobson. Unfortunately, they crashed and they've contacted again, sadly, and well, Ayrton Hadfield hasn't actually put his car in gear yet. So, Ayrton Hadfield has now vacated the course. So he's no longer with us, unfortunately. So hopefully everything's all good for Ayrton there. Ayrton, if you're watching, hopefully everything's okay. So sadly, Ayrton did not get off to the start he wanted, or to a start at all. So it's all going to be on Adrian Hadfield to bring it home for the Hadfield guys here tonight in race 2. And there's a bit of a spin there. David Smith is round, he's round, and he's get, yeah, it's going to be just ping pong coming through the S's. There's nothing David Smith can really do except from absorb all the contacts that he's getting, just like a sponge to water. He's got to absorb it all in, squeeze it all out before he gets back underway again in P21. So he's really fallen down the grid, unfortunately, thanks to that incident there. But when I say falling down the grid, it still says he's at 1 position. So it's not actually that bad at all for Mr. Smith, as we've got another car spun just in ahead of us. Oh no. Oh no indeed. Harry Fox, that unfortunately didn't get the race win in race 1. Had a good race nonetheless to finish P2. But obviously Harry Fox is normally a name we see on that podium sitter spot in P1. And Eric Ronenberg beat him to the line in race 1, and unfortunately he's had a bit of an early spin here in race 2. But that boy does have some pace, so well, we can imagine how quick he's going to get up the grid, even with that little incident. Who was that smashing Wareham? That was dirty. I believe Martin Hobson and Wareham were having a little tussle there on the start line. And speaking of Wareham, he's actually going to be going up the inside of JT Johnston here, and gets the move done. The car gets a bit squirrely, manages to hold the inside line though, so JT can't get the comeback. Can Martin Hobson now capitalise, got the inside? Oh no, Daniel Wareham's gone off a little bit there, and Martin Hobson's come around, and unfortunately JT Johnson somehow ended up into the wall, which was not good whatsoever for him. Ayrton Hadfield has left the pits, so he is now going around. I guess maybe he's popping off and getting a drink or something at the start of this race. Maybe just a bit of bad timing for him. Marcus Law at the minute is P3. See him in the whisk livery car there in the middle of this pack of 3 cars. Just like Scott Kostrick, who's spun. Oh, everyone we go on to manages to spin. That slowed Marcus Law down. He's still in P3, but Tom Wilson has taken full advantage of that, and he's actually moved up into P2 of the race now. Mark Proctor is running away with it at the minute with his M&Ms. Oh, I was about to give off the wrong slogan there. I was about to say, what was it? Touch the rainbow, taste the rainbow, or something like that. But I just realised that's Skittles, not M&M. So, yeah, to be honest, I probably shouldn't have mentioned that at all. Anyway, back to the racing. One person that is someone to look out for at the minute, Darren Morrison. He's your 2nd highest man for overtakes committed this race. Your highest at the minute is Marcus Law in P3. He's on 11 overtakes, but Darren Morrison isn't far behind that. He's got 10 overtakes. He's up 10 positions at the moment in P8 overall, P6 in his class. So he's not doing bad whatsoever. So there we go. Darren Morrison is doing a brilliant job, but Aaron Hobson is really trying to put him under attack at the minute. Carnage, it certainly is carnage indeed. It normally is in race 2. People getting a bit more heated, shall we say, and trying to get those positions on those people that they couldn't in race 1, trying to get the advantage early doors so they can kind of just hold them off for a little bit. And well, that's what Mr. Morrison's going to want to try and do to Hobson. Want to try and hold him off for a lap or two. Maybe get the car of Hobson a bit frustrated being stuck behind in P9, because then that could result in possibly Hobson sending it wide and losing a bit of concentration. Unfortunately, Mikel Lees went a bit spinneroony there in the background. You can see all the smoke still. So fortunately for him, he has gone and retired to the pit. So Mikel, apologies to only cover that little bit, but hopefully you're not going to be too disheartened by that. Do carry on if you can. It is always good to carry on, and you never know, you might still pick up a point or two. Who knows? It's always worth a try. Ryan Dudley in the minute setting the quickest lap. Just as I said, Eric Ronenberg once again has taken that away. Let's have a little look at where Dudley is, because I know we do have a few Dudley supporters in the chatteroo today. He is coming through turn 2 at the minute, up onto that back straight, as I like to call it, up the hill, and then down the hill into the braking zone. He has Tony Lamb just ahead of him as well. So Tony Lamb there, the leader of the AMs at the moment, in P4 overall, but P1 in his class. So realistically, it doesn't matter too much if he gives the position away. He's still going to be leading his class, which I think is the main objective here. But obviously, he's a racing driver, so you don't want to be letting off to other cars. And ultimately, it's going to slow him down, which will bring Stuart Brierley into the attack mode. Because, well, you can see behind, let's have a little look here, let's line things up. Got Morrison, there we go, Ronenberg, that's the one I wanted. Ronenberg there, he is the back of this pack behind Tony Lamb, so if he lets all these cars by, you've got everyone up until sort of John Sylvester that'll take advantage on that, and then behind John Sylvester's Kostrick, and then just behind that is Stuart Brierley, so he doesn't really want to give positions away if he can avoid it. I've just had reports that Harry Fox and David Clark have crashed. I think they may have had to come in together on the track, unfortunately, so not good for Mr. Fox. We did see a little incident from Harry Fox earlier, so we won't double shame. So unfortunate situation there for Mr. Fox. Ronenberg is possibly looking at mounting an attack on those cars just ahead. The car just ahead of him is Tony Lamb at the minute. Ryan Dudley did get that position made up and leads this pack now down the back straight. And well, this is the view behind Mr. Dudley. And you can see those cars side by side at the minute. There we go. So this is off the back of the rooftop of Ryan Dudley's car. Eric Ronenberg took the inside line and managed to get that nice and easily past Tony Lamb there. Kind of almost left the door wide open for him, being very respectful, which is what we like to see. And Tony Lamb's going to get jumped once again by one of the Sylvesters, or tries to. Doesn't quite get it, and that's going to slow Sylvester down up onto the S's, and that's Alex Sylvester in that vehicle there. Eric Ronenberg is almost kissing the back of Dudley as they come round towards now the turn 10 hairpin. For your first 7 minutes of the race already gone. Time is absolutely flying here. Mark Proctor still your race leader at the moment. To have a little look at the other Hadfield then, the only Hadfield to be really contesting for any points at the moment. Unfortunately, Ayrton missed the start, but he's still going around on track. Bless him, so it's good to see that he is still running. And there goes the green bonnet of Adrian Hadfield fighting for P18 in a minute. Oh, there's a bit of contact between him and Richard Fluherty, and unfortunately Richard Fluherty has initiated the T-bone, and into the hairpin they go as a T-bone formation. So unfortunately Hadfield has moved down to P20, Richard Fluherty P21, but they're still same positions in retrospect because they are still Adrian Hadfield in front of Mr. Fluherty, so they didn't actually swap at all there. Bit of a shame really for those two to come together like that, but it seems to be everyone that we jump onto has a bit of a collision. Well, here we go, let's see if it happens here, because Aaron Hobson's going to go around the outside now of Tony Lamb, and well, can he get that move done? Morrison's also up the inside of Sylvester here, Alex Sylvester. He has got his nose up in front, and he is on the outside line though, so he's got to be careful. Will Sylvester get that position back? He does, and I think that's probably the safest bet for Morrison. Not an easy place to overtake, especially on that outside line. Not an easy job whatsoever. So he's backed out slightly to let Sylvester slightly drive away from him. Not by a lot though. still within the yellow colour. Now the difference between the colours is the amber colour means that they are seriously close, and the yellow colour means that they're moderately close, as Mr. Hobson and Michael Elms are going side by side, and you can see there Michael Elms is within amber of the car ahead of Hobson, but once that gets to 5/10 or more, that then switches to a yellow colour. There it goes. So anything under 5/10 will be an amber colour, because they are very close, and that's really our indicator of who we should be watching, really. As you can see, Daniel Wareham at the minute is one of those people with the amber time next to his name, and well, this is a close pack. No matter where you are on the field, there's fighting going on all over the place at the minute, and it's just looking like an absolute battleground out there between all these cars. Daniel Wareham almost going corner to corner there with Martin Hobson. Luckily those two didn't go corner to corner and didn't make contact, which is nice to see. We've seen that a couple of times between some of these vehicles out here tonight. And Hobson's going to look towards the inside though, almost go corner to corner once again in turn 1, and coming around towards the back straight here, you do have Mr. Dave Clark in front of this pack of cars here at the minute. In P14 is Mr. Clark, so he's trying to hold off all the vehicles he's got behind him, which isn't going to be easy at all for him, but he's currently P3 in the AMs at the moment. Tony Lamb is still P1, Stuart Briley P2, Dave Clark P3 for your AM division class. Daniel Wareham trying to go around the outside then of Dave Clark, and he does so. So Dave Clark has been overtaken. Dave Clark has been spun, in fact, and unfortunately Dave Clark has gone around. And I think Martin Hobson may have been involved in that, and I think Martin Hobson is out. Not too sure what happened there. I think Martin Hobson, surely there wasn't a disqualification. Not too sure what's happened there. He's completely disappeared by the looks of things, unfortunately. So Mark Brown at the minute is fighting for P15 though. He's trying to get up past Michael Elms to gain that position that he so desires, and it's not going to be an easy job, that's for sure, as he goes slightly wide on the exit. All within track limits though. He's still got 2 tyres on the circuit, and that's one thing you need to try and remember. You need to try and keep as many wheels on the circuit as you possibly can, but sometimes you can push the barriers a little bit, shall we say, and use the maximum amount of track given to you. So you have a lot of people say, you know, you want to use as much of the track as you possibly can, and these guys certainly have done that, as Mark Brown goes up the inside and gains the position on top of Michael Elms, so he's up into P15. Not a bad start, or not a bad end to the night for Mr. Brown as he moves up. Ryan Dudley P5 at the moment, behind your race winner for race number 1, so not bad going at all for Mr. Dudley here. There'll be 2 good races back to back if he can keep this momentum going. Not so bad whatsoever. Richard Fluherty at the minute is your closest battle on the track, and well, he's in a good solid little pack here, and well, he's in a Hadfield sandwich actually. The Hadfield that's at the back of this pack is a lap down, so that's why there's no orange timer behind Mr. Fluherty, because that's not Dave Clark there, as Richard Fluherty does make the move though and gets ahead of Adrian, who has the green bonnet here. So here's the way you can tell the difference between the Hadfield cars. One's got a green bonnet, one's got a blue. Adrian is up the inside there with the green bonnet, and Ayrton is the son of Adrian, if I'm not mistaken, who has the blue bonnet, who's going to be looking towards the outside line. These two, I think these two are probably just going to be fighting because they're family. It's always fun, even though they're a lap apart. It's always nice to see a little bit of fighting going on as Ayrton does get ahead and take the advantage given to him there, and he comes around now to round off what is for him his 7th lap, or he'll be going on to his 7th lap, sorry. So he is unfortunately 1 lap down, but nonetheless he's still giving it a good effort. John Johnston has unfortunately crashed, same with David Smith as well, so not good for those two, sadly. We're having a few yellow battles out there on track. There's a little amber battle building here of Scott Kostrick and Tony Lamb. Tony Lamb now needs to try and be tactical about who he lets by and who he fights with, because the more he fights, the slower he will be. He needs to keep in front of Stuart Briley at all costs if you want this AM win. There's just over 10 minutes to go, so he hasn't got to hold on for too much longer. You know, just keep it going, keep it steady, and pick your battles. if you're defending against the pros that if they are quicker, you know, don't defend against them, let them go, try and train off them, and maybe teach yourself a new braking zone or two, or braking marker or two, and who knows, maybe you find some extra time to keep in front of Briley. But Briley isn't exactly a slow driver, so he's going to be looking to try and get onto this train as soon as possible. And here he comes into the final turn that those guys have just completed. So he's not far away at all, and I do quite like the livery of Stuart Briley there, I have to admit. Tony Lamb does really need to think now. What does he do in this situation? Does he let the 3 pros behind him by, or does he just keep trying to hold them between him and Stuart Briley? But you can see the time is going up at the minute from Stuart Briley to those behind, to those ahead. Sorry, and well, this could be Tony Lamb's time to say, okay, the gap is going up, let's let these guys by. But he may not see that, because he can't see everything that we can see, folks. So he may not notice that those times have changed. He's just going to be fighting, and he may not even know that these guys are pros around him at the minute, because not everyone runs with relatives and things like that, as we have 2 of the pros going side by side, making contact. And I think, unfortunately, that is, yeah, the other Hobson, Aaron Hobson, has just gone straight to the pits, sadly, there, as he went side by side with this man here, Scott Kostrick, in the comic book livery. Harry Fox took full advantage and got the overtake done. Now, Harry Fox certainly isn't a slow car whatsoever. Not saying the others were slow, but Harry Fox definitely wants to try and get out the grid as quick as he possibly can, as he kind of needs every point he can get in terms of the standings. You know, wants to try and solidify a good end of season result. Here's the AM ahead of him of Tony Lamb, so he's going to want to make quick work of him. You can see them just in the background there of this little battle between John Sylvester and Darryl Morrison. Who can come out on top? They are both in the same class, they're both pro racers, so there's nothing amateur about this battle, as they come down the back straight now towards that quick right hand brake zone. And there's John Sylvester just behind Darryl Morrison. Darryl Morrison just behind Marcus Law as well, but by seconds. There's a bit more of a gap there compared to the 4/10 of John Sylvester. So Darryl Morrison, is he looking more towards the car in front, or is he looking more in the mirrors? I'd probably bank on more in the mirrors. Mark Brown at the minute is finding out, and he's getting awfully close. In fact, he's just got the overtake done just as we switched onto him to Stuart Briley. So he's flown by there at the minute. John Sylvester is getting ever so closer though. He's not letting anything up, and gonna look towards the outside line. Doesn't get it, unfortunately, but he's certainly looking a bit punchy, so he wants to get that move done. Harry Fox is getting the move done on Tony Lamb, and Tony Lamb has conceded that position now. He is in your P10 position though, so he rounds off your top 10. He's P1 in the AMs, and he's taken the fight to Harry Fox, because he's going to have the inside line there, and I'm not too sure whether that'll be an off track or not, a cut track. I don't think it will. I think that's still within limits, and he's gone heavily wide, so maybe he did get a bit of a slowdown. Not too sure there, but he's gone wide, and Harry Fox has gone back through. Same with Scott Kostrick, he's now taking advantage of that as well. John Sylvester still just a little bit off, unfortunately. Can Lamb get that position back? Can he find his way back into the top 10 as an AM? It's certainly not going to be easy. Well, just as I say that, he makes it look incredibly easy as he goes up the inside line there of Scott Kostrick, and those two have had a bit of a coming together, and unfortunately I sent Scott Kostrick around. Now we can have a look back at this, and I think this was just a common case of bumper to bumper. Scott lets him through there because they are proper door bashing side by side into turn 1. This is turn 2. Yeah, bumper to bumper, and unfortunately that doesn't keep the car steady for Scott Kostrick at all, and that forces him into a spin. He is now side by side with Mark Brown. Mark Brown does go through, and he's now going to be trying to track down Daniel Wareham, who is a little bit up the road to Mark Brown. You can see Mark Brown now coming towards the S's. This is where Daniel Wareham just was. There they go. So there's not much between the guys there at all, but there's enough for now, so it's enough to not worry. At the minute, Scott Kostrick is trying to get onto the back of Mark Brown and get that position back that he just lost. Daniel Wareham taking last to first challenge, I think. He certainly could be. Wareham is not having a bad race at all. He's currently down 7 positions, unfortunately, but obviously he did have that little earlier incident. I think that was on the start. I think it was Wareham that was involved on the start line. Oh, I think it was him and Martin Hobson. I think it was those two at the very start, and a little bickering on the start finish line there. So he's doing an absolute stellar job. Wonderful work from him. Alex Sylvester, though, going down the back straight, he's going to look to try and get the move. We're approaching the last 5 minutes here, so what we'll do is we'll get your track map up so you can really see where the battles are and what's going on. And well, Darryl Morrison is going to have his hands full, because once again he's in that sandwich, this pack of 3 at the moment. Marcus Law in front of those two, followed by Darryl Morrison and John Sylvester all close behind, and they've been quite close now for multiple laps, so they're very similar in terms of pace. John Sylvester, though, he's not one for enjoying sitting behind other cars. He does have a good amount of pace in this car, so it's only a matter of time until he does get the advantage on Morrison and gets that position. But then again, Morrison getting the advantage on Marcus Law. Marcus Law's actually fallen back, so the battle is still on. Morrison still does have to watch his mirrors for John Sylvester, but he's gained a position while watching John Sylvester dance in his mirrors. So yeah, you know what, I take back what I was just saying about Mr. Morrison, you know, being on a similar pace, and John Sylvester not being a slow driver or anything like that. So I think John Sylvester would make the move the next couple of turns, but just as I say that, Darryl Morrison's like, nope, that's me, and he gets the job done instead on Marcus Law, so he pushes up now into P6. And as it stands, Darryl Morrison is your leader for the most overtakes. He's overtaken 11 cars in race 2. So in the first in this 21-minute race so far, he's done 11 cars, which is incredible work there for Mr. Morrison. So fantastic stuff. What we do like to see and what we like to hear, John Sylvester is trying to get close to him and get on the inside. Obviously, it does send you a little bit wide, though. Probably wider than he'd like, and they're going to go side by side into the S's almost, and well, bumper to bumper. Don't make any contact, Mr. Sylvester, because we've seen what will happen to other cars. If these two go bumper to bumper, that will surely send either one or both of them off the track, so that's not something we want to see. And this is the podium shot. This is like from the center of the track. There's one tall podium right in the middle of this track, really, and you can pretty much see everything from this point. There are a few things that block out zones, but this has to be one of my most favourite camera angles I've ever seen in iRacing. It's just incredible, because you can literally see everything. There's a couple of little buildings that get in the way, don't get me wrong, like that roof there, like who would have a house there? What a silly place to put it. But nevertheless, it is a great position for the camera work and the camera angles that all these little marshals that are in iRacing put in, so it's fantastic. To see there as these guys come up the straight now. Darryl Morrison still having a look in his mirrors at the minute, and this battle we're going to be staying on board with for a couple of seconds more, just to see if anything will happen, because John Sylvester does seem to have a little bit of an advantage now in terms of momentum coming down the back straight. 2.5 minutes to go here until the end of race 2, so Morrison hasn't got too long to hold on for, but John Sylvester isn't easy to keep behind. Alex Sylvester also trying to take the battle to Ryan Dudley, as that time's starting to come down now, and come down quite quickly as well. So Alex Sylvester also on the push, so both the Sylvesters are on a last minute push, probably in a voice chat with each other, telling each other to go quicker, really motivating each other as well. And what a beautiful job they're both doing. Let's have a little look at what Mr. Sylvester is doing in terms of Alex Sylvester just ahead behind Mr. Morrison, no, not Morrison, sorry, Dudley. And unfortunately he goes a bit wide there, and the gap opens up once again. So we're going to pop back to John Sylvester, because he's looking to make a move now. Doesn't have it though, because he's going to go for the outside line, go for possibly the cutback, not even close for that one. So Darryl Morrison doesn't really have to worry there. But John Sylvester, he does need to be careful, because the more he pushes, the more he tries to attack, the more Marcus Law is going to be brought back into the action then. So it's going to be something that's quite tight for those guys. Tom Wilson, who is, I believe, a newcomer to the league. He is in the pro standings, judging from the number. He's got a 3-digit number there. But he's in P2 at the minute, so he's doing a fantastic job up there. Alex Sylvester's trying to go up the outside of turn 1, and oh, things getting a bit squirrely there for Ryan Dudley. Ryan Dudley manages to hold it. Is he going to have a bit of momentum deficit, though, coming down the straight doesn't look like it. He looks to hold his position fairly well at the moment. I don't think much time between them is changing. Unfortunately, I think Darren Morrison's had a bit of a slip-up. Oh, I do have reports that Darren Morrison did crash, and I don't really want to bring that highlight on because Morrison's had such a good night so far. He's still your leader in terms of overtakes as well. It's put him down to 8. In fact, he's drawing top with Ryan Dudley, so he's having a fantastic night, so I don't want to spoil that. But we won't go and show that highlight there. Unfortunately, we have lost a few cars from P22 Neil Rocks all the way down to P26 Mikkel Lees. So not good for those guys, sadly. Both the Hobsons out as well, so that will affect the team standings for them a little bit. There won't be much points advantage to go in their way tonight, sadly. But Alex Sylvester still trying to put the fight on as we're into the checkered flag stage, as Mark Proctor comes down towards the line. There's Barney with his flag. It's the first line that you see that they're going to approach, and as he comes across it now, there is your race winner for race 2. Mark Proctor, Tom Wilson, the newcomer, I believe, in P2 there, and Eric Ronneberg, P3. Ronneberg, 2 podiums, 1 P1, 1 P3. Fantastic results for Mr. Ronneberg for tonight's session. Harry Fox, P7, both Sylvesters P5, P6. Darren Morrison ends up P8. Not a bad result for Morrison at all. Unfortunate about his little slip up, but him and Ryan Dudley were your highest in terms of overtakes, so stellar jobs from both of those two there as well. So lovely stuff to see as we wait for the rest of the cars to come across the line and round off what has been a great race 2, really. It was kind of action, and we didn't really get a chance to sort of take a break and focus on anyone specifically for any periods of time. It was just non-stop right till the end. That was great stuff to see from all these guys out here on track, and they are all across the line now, so we'll bring you your results for race 2. Let's have a little look at what we have here then. Oh no, it wants to go away. Never mind night, is it? Mark Proctor is your race winner though for race 2. 7.5 tenths behind, that's Tom Wilson. Eric Ronneberg P3, that rounds off your top 3 podium sitters. Then you have Ryan Dudley P4, Alex Sylvester and John Sylvester P5 and 6. Harry Fox P7, Darryl Morrison P8, Tony Lamb was your race winner for the AMS P9 overall. Dan Wareham rounds off your top 10. Marcus Law P11. Scott Kostrick P12. Richard Fluherty P13. Stuart Briley was P2 in the AMS at P14 overall. Adrian Hadfield P3 in the AMS at P15 overall. Mark Brown P16. Gary Linton P17. Dave Clark P18. And we'll get the rest of the grid up here for you as well. Michael Elms, P19. JT Johnson, P20. Ayrton Hadfield, P21. Neil Rocks, P22. David Smith, P23. Aaron Hobson and Martin Hobson, P24 and 25. And Mikkel Lees, P26. Well, what wonderful racing we had overall there tonight. Absolute wonderful stuff. As you can see, there's a lot of smoke there off in the distance. Who's that? We've got a bit of donuts and a bit of showing going on here for these guys as they're all doing donuts around Rudskogen and trying to do synchronized donuts there. I think Richard Fluherty is trying to get involved in that one as well. So what a round we had at Rudskogen. Round 4 in the season out of 6. So we have 2 more rounds to go. Next week then we are at Virginia International Race Circuit. A wonderful track indeed. Hopefully these drivers will like that. And hopefully they will all enjoy that and get some points on the board there. But all in all, what a night of racing we have had. It's probably been some of the cleaner racing we've seen this season as well. There was a little bit of carnage towards the start of race 2. It was always bound to happen at some point. Fortunate for some of the drivers involved, but when you've got racing as close as what it was, you're always going to get that. And, well, these guys are putting on a fantastic gymnastics show right towards the end of the session. So wonderful stuff for them. And hopefully their race engineers aren't going to harass them too much about burning the tyres. So I'm not too sure what Eric Ronneberg is doing. But he had a fantastic night tonight. P1 and P3 overall. So a wonderful night of racing indeed. Now, that is going to bring us to the end of today's broadcast then. We really do appreciate each and every one of you. There is no one waiting for an interview, so we are going to end up here tonight at Rudskogen, and we're going to see you all next week at Virginia International Race Circuit. So we look forward to seeing you all then. But until then, make sure you stay safe. Make sure you subscribe to the JPB YouTube channel as well, and keep up to date of all the racing that's yet to come on this channel as well, because there's a lot coming up this week. So keep your eyes peeled, and hopefully we'll see you Wednesday for the GT4s, tomorrow for the Clios, and well, next week for Virginia. Until then, have a great week, and we'll see you all in a week's time. Bye bye.